All right, so you should have out your 1-5 note sheet, the same one we were using yesterday and taking notes on. So today we are going to multiply, divide, and simplify rational expressions. So our first one, we're going to multiply the rational expressions and simplify them if we can, and then we're going to divide the rational expressions and simplify those if we can. So that's what we're going to be doing. So let's go ahead and let's look here at multiplication here and simplifying. So again, just like yesterday, you factored, you factored. So I'm going to look there at that x squared plus 2x minus 3, and I'm going to factor my terms. So what times what gives me x squared, x and x. What two numbers multiply to give me negative 3 and add to give me a positive 2. That'd be a plus 3 and a minus 1. And then down here in the denominator here, what two numbers multiply to give me 16 and add to give me 8? That would be 4 and 4. I'll put my x's in there as well. And then times, factoring this one, looking at that 3x plus 12 there, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, GCF there. GCF can be pulled out of that. So I'll pull a 3 out, and I'm left with x plus 4. And then down in the denominator, I have an x minus 1. So just like we talked about yesterday about how it has to be the exact term for us to cross it out. So you've got an x minus 1 at the top, you can cross out an x minus 1 at the bottom. You've got an x plus 4 at the bottom, you cross out with 1 at the top. So what are we left with up there at the top now? Just multiply straight across. We get 3 times x plus 3 all over x plus 4. And I always just leave it there in factored form. I don't go ahead and distribute that 3 through and say 3x plus 9, although you could. But there it is, completely in factored form. If you do some of these through your textbook, they'll also leave it in factored form. So it's just nice if you do it in factored form, because that's the way I'm going to be giving you the answers when I read them off to you. Letter B here, we cannot do anything with that 4x yet, so I'm just going to leave it for now. So I'm just working at factoring the x plus 2. I'm going to leave that alone for now. That x squared minus 4, we're looking at that one thinking, oh yeah, that's the difference of squares again. So square root of x squared is x. Square root of 4 is 2. And then one's a plus, and one's a minus. And then I've got the 16x here. So now, again, we can cross out 1 at the top with 1 at the bottom there. So I've got an x plus 2 term to be crossed out with the x plus 2 term. And then note, look there, I've got a 4x and I've got a 16x. Those are just nice monomials there. So I can go ahead and reduce those down as well. So I'm going to do that. So looking at 4x and 16 there, x. 4x goes into 4x there once. 4x goes into 16 there 4 times. So now I can multiply straight across here. I get 1 over 4 times x minus 2. And again, just leave it in that nice factored form there. 1 over 4 times x minus 2. So we've got another one, letter C here. Again, think factor, factor. Can I factor this? Can I factor this? Look at each one of these and decide that. So I'm looking at that nice trinomial there, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, I could factor that. X times x there is x squared. Two numbers that multiply to give me negative 12 and add to give me a negative 1. So multiply the negative 12 and add the negative 1 there would be a minus 4 and a plus 3. And then down here in the denominator here, I'm thinking, oh yeah, that's the difference of squares again. So the square root there of x squared there is x. Square root of 9 is 3. And one's a plus and one's a minus. The second one there, I'm just going to probably rewrite that x. 3 plus x is x plus 3. And then I've got a 4 minus x. So again, one term at the top can cross out with 1 at the bottom here. So I've got an x plus 3 and an x plus 3. Then I'm remembering from yesterday about how we talked about we've got an x minus 4 and then a 4 minus x. So I'm looking at these two terms right there. Remember with those, if they're reversed like that with minus there, you can go ahead and cross them out. They're not exactly the same, but they have that a negative 1 is left. Because if you remember, we did that. We took a negative 1 times x minus 4, and if I were to distribute that through, I get negative x plus 4, which is the same thing as 4 minus x. So when I cross out x minus 4 over 4 minus x, they're not exactly the same, so I can't put 1's there, but I can put a negative 1 and a 1. So now, just simply multiplying across here, so negative 1 times x plus 3 there is negative 1 times x plus 3 all over x minus 3. And those are not the same there. Do not cross those out. So we've got that as simplified as much as possible. So a few more here. We got x squared plus 7x plus 12. Again, think in terms of factoring. So these are kind of nice ones. My a values here are all 1's in each one of these. So what times what gives me 12 and adds to give me 7 there? It'd be 3 and 4. What multiplies to give me 2 and adds to give me 3? That would be 2 and 1. X squared plus 5x plus 6 there multiplies to give me 6 and adds to give me 5. That would be 3 and 2. And the bottom one there, x squared plus 6x plus 9 there, what multiplies to give me 9 and adds to give me 6? That would be 3 and 3. So again, one at the top can cross out with one at the bottom. So I've got an x plus 3 and an x plus 3. I've got an x plus 2 and an x plus 2. I've got another pair of x plus 3's. And I'm left there with x plus 4 over x plus 1. There it is, simplified as much as possible. And no, you cannot cross out the x's and say 4 divided by 1, there's 4. The x plus the 4 is connected, and the x plus the 1 is connected. All right, so coming down here and factoring b here. So this time, I'm going to go ahead and factor my denominators here because those look easy. So what multiplies to give me negative 15 and adds to give me 2 there? It would be a 5 and a minus 3. And then what multiplies to give me 5 and adds to give me 6? That would be a 5 and a 1. So then the numerators there, I might have to come down here and use my x method or use my guess to check. What multiplies to give me AC and adds to give me B? I add 2 and 1. So I can rewrite that 2x squared plus 2x plus x plus 1. Group. Take my GCF out. I'm left with x plus 1. The second set there, I'm going to take a 1 out. I'm left with x plus 1. So factored, it becomes x plus 1 times 2x plus 1. And then the second part there, I can do the same thing. What multiplies to give me AC and adds to give me B. So AC there is 6. B there is negative 7. So that's a negative 6 and a negative 1. So writing that out, we get 2x squared minus 6x minus x plus 3. Pulling the GCF out of those first two is 2x. I'm left with x minus 3. Pulling the GCF of minus 1 out, I'm left with x minus 3. So now putting my factors in up here, I've got an x minus 3 and a 2x minus 1. So looking for one thing at the top to cross out with one thing at the bottom there. So my x minus 3's there are being crossed out. X plus 1's are going. And that looks like we're about it. So we end up getting it for our answer 2x plus 1 times 2x minus 1 all over x plus 5. And since there's two x plus 5's, you could put a little 2 up here, or you could write them both out. You could do x plus 5 times x plus 5. But there it is, simplified as much as possible. So you've got another multiplication one. think I said C and now I gotta, oh no, it's not. So let's multiply, let's simplify this one. Let's factor this one down here. So that first one there, I can factor that. Notice this time I've got two variables, a little trickier, but we can do this. So down here in the denominator, x squared minus y squared, square root of x squared there is x, square root of y is y. So again, difference of squares, one's a plus, one's a minus. Up there in the numerator there, we've got an x and an x. The y's have to go in there. What times what gives you y squared? It'd be a y and a y. And it has to be a plus and a plus. So I can check in here, 1xy and a 1xy does indeed give me a 2xy. Down here in my denominator down here has to be an x and an x. What multiplies to give me a negative 2 and adds to give me a negative 1, it would be a minus 2 and a plus 1y. So negative 2xy plus an xy there gives me a minus 1xy. And then up there in my numerator up there, if I were to do that one, my AC there and my B here. So I'd probably put my X's and my Y's in here first, and then I'll put my numbers in there later. What multiplies to give me negative 2 would be my AC, and adds to give me a negative 1. I either be negative 2 and 1. So if I write it out, it becomes 2x squared minus 2x plus x plus 1. No, plus y squared. And I've got to put my y's in there because there's an xy in there. So does that work? Negative 2xy plus some xy there gives me a negative xy. Yeah. So now factor by grouping. GCF is 2x. I'm left with x minus y. GCF over here is y. I'm left with x minus y. So factor it here. It becomes x minus y and 2x plus y. So looking for one thing at the top to cross out one thing at the bottom. So our x minus y can get crossed out. We've got an x plus y. We've got another x plus y. And so we're simply left with 2x plus y over x minus 2y. So when I put these terms in over here, these were minus 2xy and plus 1xy, because that's what the middle term there was. All right, so I'm going to pause this and we'll go on to the next video.